Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. What do I mean by that? I mean, anybody who comes on my show is active in the industry. All right. These are people who have done what you're looking to do, or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So we can put the right information out there, you guys, that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life, you guys. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live yours as well. Got a solo show today. We got some articles to break down. As always, if you guys have any sales or operations related questions for transportation, drop them in the chat here on LinkedIn or over on YouTube or on Twitter, and then they'll drop in here and I'll answer them live on the show, you guys. This is the whole point of this weekday live show, is to help other individuals out there, you guys. I've been in the industry for a long time, and I'm going to continuously put information out there to keep people in business. Changes happen in the industry, right? Markets go up, markets go down, but that doesn't mean that you have to go out of business. That doesn't mean that you have to quit. We just got to find a different solution, and that's what we're here to talk about every single day. So bring all those questions, drop them in there. Otherwise, I will break down some articles and everything on the show. I got a couple of them chosen. But before we do anything, before we jump into anything else, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And especially right now, when the market's changed and everything, you should never have to shut your operation down if you're an owner operator because you have a trailer in the fleet. You get paid to move these trailers, you guys. That's right. That's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading these trailers out. You get paid to move these. So what they're working on, you guys, they have some out in West Valley City, Utah, needing to get up to Calgary, Alberta, and you get $15.50 US to move this. They also have a couple hundred dry vans down in Paragould, Arkansas, needing to get up to Mississauga, Ontario. You can create a drop trailer pool out there for your shippers. Or if you're prospecting larger companies, they might ask you, do you have access to drop trailers? And now you do, you guys, because this doesn't have to just find freight in Paragould, right? Like, you can grab this, you can bring it over to Knoxville, Lexington, Cincinnati, wherever your customer's located, if they have freight going into Canada, because this has to end up there in Mississauga or the greater Toronto area and finish up in Mississauga. You guys need to get 1,000 Canadian to do that. You guys, there are multiple opportunities for you to utilize this platform. And then they also have Dallas, Texas, going to Long Sault, Ontario. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My friends Xavier Campos and Stacy Steen, they will be in the audience. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. All right. Devon Hamilton, what is up? He says, good morning, new to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Zach Williams says, good morning, everyone. Zach's with SPI Logistics, you guys. If you want to become an independent freight agent, take control of your financial future, hit up Zach. You guys join the team. That's where my freight agency is through. I'm with SPI Logistics. They're a phenomenal partner out there. Tony, I don't need drayage, Darnell. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Tony, you got to get back on the show soon, man. Yeah, by all means, I need you back on here, sir. Denise Favor, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. All right, you guys. Now, let's see here. Let's see. What are we going to talk about? Hey, diesel, I got to give out that. I've been slacking on keeping people posted on the diesel prices out there. Diesel went down again. Fortunately, it's down to $4.10 a gallon out there, although I do believe this is going to be a short-lived I do believe this is going to be short-lived on this price drop. I feel like it's going to increase here very soon, just based off of all the information that came out with OPEC cutting and limiting production. I think that that's going to cause a spike in prices out there. Again, I'm not an economist or anything like that. I'm just going off of my gut instinct. And anytime I've ever seen any changes to oil, it's always resulted in a price increase, it seems. Louis Montana, what is up? Good morning. Tracy St. Clair, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. She's watching over on YouTube, you guys. All right, so I get asked more than anything, how do I find shippers? I would say if I was given $1 for every time I've been asked this, I have like a fuckload of dollars at this point. But again, I understand because we're all here to offer a service to somebody, right? We're all here to move their freight. I would argue that out of anybody who has a podcast in the transportation industry, I speak to more shippers than anybody else out there. And I do that, you guys, because fortunately, I have a large network of friends that are shippers who are willing to come on to my shows, whether it's this show or my podcast, Coffee with a Freight Coach, and tell you guys how to prospect them. Like I just released an episode this morning with Ron Kane. It is episode, I'll pull it up right now for you guys. It's the last one on there. It's episode 524 on there, you guys. It is 524 with Ron Kane, a shipper, a guy who's literally been in charge of some of the largest brands in North America. And he breaks it down for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes on how to prospect, you guys, on what you can do differently out there. And, I like, this is all it takes is time, right? Because I have an audio only version of this show that's going to go up there on my podcast. You can listen to this whenever. It's on iTunes and Spotify. And I could sit up here and talk till I'm blue in the face on best practices and everything out there. But these are literal individuals who are on the other end of the phone that you guys are calling, and that are on the other end of the email when you guys are sending the emails and everything else. And they lay it all out there for you guys on how to prospect at a high level. There's a lot of hard truths in these episodes. It's not what you want to hear at times, but at the end of the day, you guys, this is all positive information, because if you've been approaching this the wrong way, if you're looking for feedback, there's your information. It's all laid out there in that episode. And then there's also one with JJ Jones a little bit back, and Paul Estrada. I had a whole week dedicated to shippers, you guys, and I talked to them. It's going to be about once a month. I'm going to have shippers come on this on my podcast and talk to you guys about this. Because again, we can never have the shortage of the right information out there. I get emails from my friends that are shippers almost daily about what not to do, you guys. And, a lot of it is having a strategy and having a plan. And we talk about this a lot, especially if you're an owner operator out there. You can get direct freight. You can get direct access to shippers by going out there and introducing yourself and knowing and having a plan in place. And Ron and I talked about that extensively of this last episode, is about having that strategy and having a plan and going in there and doing research, you guys. Like, I can't stress this enough. Do not call somebody for the sake of calling them. Do not show up to somebody's business without having a base level understanding of their needs, right? And knowing what freight that they're moving, knowing what they're going to have. You guys, go to the like if there's multiple facilities, go to their location map. It's all out there, you guys. There is so much access to all the relevant information that you need to prospect somebody. It's all out there on Google. It's all out there on their website. It's all out there on LinkedIn. Like, you guys, like this, finding access to information has never been easier. Okay. Like, there's no secret to what anybody does. That's why if you cold call somebody or you cold email them and you're offering a service that they clearly don't need, that's the biggest deterrent. Like, for fuck's sakes, if you offer drayage to somebody who clearly does not need drayage, how do you ever expect to move freight for them? Because if you can't even put in minimal effort to tailor your message to the commodity that they ship, why would they give you a chance on that? Because you offer that 7 bullet points down in your email, right? Because again, I'm out here building up mine right now. I'm building up mine. We're onboarding shippers right now, you guys. We're onboarding them. I'm reaching out to them from a cold perspective, just like everybody. But I am not vague in my approach at all. I'm getting responses. It doesn't mean that it just transfers in to freight right away, but I'm saying enough in there to where I'm getting responses from my prospects. It might not be freight today, but they're letting me know, hey, follow up with me later on this year. We don't need anybody right now. All right. They're giving you those directions. And again, and it's all about that initial outreach, because I'm not out here sending them one message or two messages and never following up with them. I'm not emailing them every other day. I'm not calling them every day or every other day or anything like that. I have a cadence down. I have a cadence down. It might be a week, it might be every 2 weeks, it might be every 3 weeks, depending on the prospect itself, you guys. But I'm reaching out to them with relevant information that is directly correlated to their operation. All right. That's why, again, I'm always about a niche. Okay. You need to find a niche and you need to go after that for a while. And then, see the difference out there, because don't chase freight markets. Don't do any of that. Find a niche, be a subject matter expert, and reach out with intent. That is the big thing between earning business and then just getting, offering a service. Because anybody can offer the ability to find trucks, you guys. Anybody out there can find a truck and do that. But do they really need help with that? You have to understand that it is so much more in depth than just saying, hey, I can save you money, or I got access to trucks. Having access to trucks as a broker or a trucking company is table stakes, right? Saving money, the biggest line that people use that has the most catastrophic consequences out there. Because what if they call your bluff? All right. And I want you guys all to think about this. And then we're going to get into some articles here. I want you to think about this. What if they call your bluff? They're like, okay, perfect. What do you need from Las Vegas to Phoenix? What if you quote them, you think you're some fucking hotshot, and you're actually charging them $500 or $600 more than what they're currently paying? You will never get another opportunity to speak with that individual ever again. You're done. Just because you wanted to go in there and say and try and say that you could save them money when you don't know what they're paying. I am against that strategy. I don't even talk rates when I'm reaching out to prospects. I'm looking for an opportunity to speak with them. I'm looking to see if there's some synergies between how I operate, and everything else is secondary at that point, because they have to see the value in what I'm saying to give me an opportunity to speak with them. All right, let me see here. Sunny Sharma says, good fucking morning, orange shirt gang. Tony Darnell says, I got an email offering to sell a list. Sell the list, Tony. Whatever that is, sell the list. I'm kidding. Christine Stewart, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Stephen Mason says, good morning, everyone. Let's fucking go. Steven's got a trucking company out of Tampa, Florida. You guys, he's got a couple of trucks. I think he said he has 4 in there, and he runs in the Southeast. You guys, he's got a couple of flatbeds. Hit him up. And then Louis Montano says, if you're an owner operator right now, it's time to get straight with shippers. Shippers are complaining. Some brokers are not getting it done. Louis, I couldn't agree with that more, man. I couldn't agree with that more. There's always opportunity, no matter what the freight market is. You guys, no matter what the narrative is out there, there is always an opportunity to gain business. Because, again, back to the podcast with Ron Kane, episode 524. He says it in there. We are always looking to onboard quality providers. All right. So there's an opportunity out there. There's an opportunity. Stephen Mason says, I agree to a certain extent. I'm a small carrier, and for some reason, they don't really want to work with me consistently due to the fact that I can't cover their volume. This is as far as big shippers. The smaller ones do give me a chance, but it's not consistent. And Stephen, here's the thing, man, with that, we all are faced with that right away as we're kind of building up. And I think that it's really finding complementary shippers in that area, because, dude, a lot of large enterprise shippers, you're right, man, they're not going to set up certain size carriers because of that, man. It's nothing against the size of your operation. It's nothing against your capabilities. It's just, it doesn't move the needle, right? So it's like, if you got a shipper who moves 100 shipments a day just out of Tampa, Florida, where you're located, for example, man, and you can only cover 2 of them, it's tough. It's tough for them to justify it. So it's nothing personal. It's just their standards for needing to set somebody up. But you're right, man. There are a lot more smaller shippers out there who, albeit they might not have the most consistent freight that aligns with your schedule, but man, if you get set up with 3 or 4 of them based out of Tampa, where you're at, bro, I think you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine long term. All right, let's get to some articles. This one is ironically about this is from supplychainbrain.com. Smaller truckers are struggling to keep pace in an uncertain economy. This article came out yesterday. Small to medium-sized trucking companies have all the challenges that afflict their larger competition and none of the advantages. Smaller carriers must bear high capital and labor costs in the face of uncertain demand and seesawing rates. The pain has especially been intense from the pandemic, with soaring costs of insurance and equipment. The price of a new semi-truck today can range from $100,000 to $200,000 depending on features, and a trailer alone can cost up to $80,000. Operating costs for owner operators entering the market the last 2 years in the range of $1.95 to $2.05 per mile, but by the beginning of 2022 had peaked in some cases to $3.50. Okay. At the end of the hold on, I'll finish reading this. We saw the demand started to drop. Some of the biggest bankruptcies over the last 8 years. Consolidation has been out there. $3.50 a mile as break even. Adam Wingfield and I talked about this and how that's highly fabricated at the $3.50 a mile. He's definitely aligned with the $1.95 to $2.05 a mile for break even, and maybe a little bit higher, a couple of points on that. But calling out the anomaly of a $3.50 a mile break even is not accurate, according to my friends that are owners of small fleets and whose clients are small fleets. I just want to point that out. Drivers come and go depending on demand, peak seasons, and everything else. They still want to bang the drum on the driver shortage of 78,000. I don't think that there is a driver shortage at all. I don't want to say there's a surplus per se. Is there going to be and I talk about this a lot on here. Is there a percentage of the market that will leave when there's a market change? There always is. Doesn't mean you have to, but there always is. Ironically, when there's a boom, let me see, the drivers, I'm just getting out there. Too many carriers came into the market at the wrong point. When drivers exit the market, their vehicles either get repossessed or sold in the second hand. One of the biggest mistakes that newcomers make is failing to take a broad enough view of their operation. A smaller owner operator might focus on getting a one-way load without thinking ahead of time about booking the return run. By the time they start soliciting for it, it's often too late. That raises the specter of deadheading or driving back empty. All of this is taking place amid increasingly competitive market with rates on the downswing. At the beginning of 2022, a 1,000-mile run was paying around $3,000. By the end of the year, it was down to $2,000. And heading in to 2023, it will continue to tailwinds were becoming headwinds, it says. And Herpic is expecting carrier costs to bottom out by the end of the first quarter, and with a large amount of capacity having been taken out of the market, spot load rates should begin to rise. The third quarter will likely bring an inflection point, he had said in there. The wild card for forecasters is the ever present prospect of a recession that's going on out there. And then regardless of how the carrier market, okay. So again, there's decent information in this article. There is, and we've talked about this extensively. And it really is about knowing your costs and having that plan in place. Your plan can't be just running the highest rate per mile off of the spot market. And it's very challenging right now when the market is what it is. But again, it's kind of like when we want to tie into how do you find direct freight as an owner operator, it's having that plan in place. It's knowing the region you want to run to identify freight lanes that are out there. Because again, you guys, no matter what the national average is that is out there, there is always freight that is running above that. And again, it's like looking at it from a different perspective. Short haul loads, 250 mile or less loads are always going to be the highest tender rejection out there for the most part. Maybe not right now in today's market because freight is kind of wonky per se from a overall volume perspective, but the opportunity will always lie in that, because a lot of larger brokers, and this is just what I did when I was working at a larger broker, is those short haul runs, man, we quoted them to not move them at all. And that's where a lot of shippers are going to need the most help on, is 250 miles or less. And you can get a solid rate on that, you guys. Like, again, you can run local, for example, just running, Florida to Florida, Tampa to Tampa, or Fort Myers to Fort Myers, whatever that looks like. If you get a couple of shippers in that area, you can stay local and you can make a decent living, and you don't have the wear and tear in your truck. You don't have to be away from home and everything else. It's not everybody is going to run Tampa to Atlanta or Atlanta to Chicago. Like we're talking about those power lanes. It's going to be secondary lanes out there. And again, there's a need for that. Those rates are always naturally going to pay more than a Charlotte to Chicago. All right. That's a power lane. That's the biggest power lane out there. That rate will always be cheaper than a secondary city to a secondary city. All right. Because there's less demand on those. Therefore, if there's less demand, there's a higher opportunity and a higher paying load that's going to come out there. So look at that, you guys, as we're going through here. Because again, yes, the market's changed, as we've been talking about on this show for the last 8, 9 months, 10 months at this point, about how the market is changing. That doesn't mean you have to go out of business. Okay. That doesn't mean you have to stop doing what you're doing. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. There is a lot of shit out there that is uncertain. But again, this is your business. You didn't get into business because it was going to be easy, right? This is an opportunity for you to really solidify your operations and take advantage of the opportunities that are at hand, because this market's going to shift back, you guys. It's going to shift back and rates are going to increase. It's only a matter of time. Are you going to be there, though, when that's ready? Don't anybody out there who says sell your business or anything else, fuck them. All right. That's my honest opinion. If you advocate for anybody to go out of business, fuck you. All right. I can't be any more clear than that on that. But again, good article, Supply Chain Brain. I put all the links to the articles up there on the YouTube channel. You guys, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay of this. Louis Montano. Oh, I'm not going to read that because he says I've been voice texting. He's delivering. Louis out there on the road. Dude, Louis was in like a fucking snowstorm yesterday. Louis, you live in Vegas, don't you, brother? I saw that you were up in like a snowstorm or something yesterday. That's miserable. Stephen Mason says, I pivoted and now I'm starting to just develop good relationships with reputable brokers who have consistent freight. We can make all the, yeah, dude. And that's the thing, man. Not all of us brokers are assholes. I promise. Not all brokers are assholes. There are a lot of shitbags out there. I'm not going to say that there's not, but yeah, let me see. Sante Almonte. Hey man, you're the number 2 man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. He's watching over on YouTube. All right. Next article, hair testing guidelines sent to the White House. This is from FreightWaves. A revamp of a controversial proposed rule setting standards for using hair to test truckers for drugs has been received by the White House Office of Management and Budget for review. The rewrite was received on Friday. According to the OMB, it's the Office of, how many fucking multi-letter word agencies are there? Jeez. Its Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, which is conducting the review, has up to 90 days to assess the guidelines being proposed by the United States Department of Health and Human Services. It helps promote adequate interagency review of draft. Of course, we need an agency to fucking review an interagency. Anyway, sorry. Robin Hutchinson of the FMCSA told attendees at the TCA annual meeting last month to look for the proposed guidelines this summer. The proposed hair test guidelines, which, if approved following a public comment period, would be used as the basis for a proposed rule by the FMCSA. The agency's first proposal, issued late by the Trump administration, was panned, but for different reasons, by big trucking companies as well as owner operators and labor. Companies already screening drivers using hair, and that was that want uniformity, and a level playing field, complained that the initial proposal was not strict enough because it allowed for other testing options. Major carriers JB Hunt and Schneider would like to be able to rely solely on hair testing instead of being required to test urine or saliva. In comments filed out there, they warned that requiring a second alternative specimen test to confirm a test if a driver tests positive using hair, proposed in the initial guidelines, would make the roads less safe because studies have shown that the drug detection window on hair is longer. And small business truckers and labor unions out there first proposing said that there are still privacy costs out there. In addition, Let me see. In addition, just because a small percentage of trucking companies opt to screen their drivers using hair testing does not mean the process should be mandated for the entire industry. Wrote Todd Spencer, who's the president and CEO of OIDA. See, I can agree with OIDA on some stuff. I agree, Todd Spencer. Companies that must resort to extreme measures to compensate drivers. All right. Okay. When it comes to hair testing out there, I would think that, as the landscape changes for the legalization of marijuana at the federal level out there, it's tough to say that this is a thing because hair testing shows, I think urine and saliva are the most accurate because that shows like within a certain period of time. Again, I don't fucking do any of this shit, so I don't know. But to the best of my knowledge, they went with urine and saliva because that shows recent activity. Hair testing is very subjective from the information that I've received and looked into on that. And the fact that it can show up there, like you could do it 4 months ago and shit could be in your hair still. Again, I go back and forth because I don't want to say that I'm advocating for people to fucking drive intoxicated because I'm not at all, but I don't see how this does anything to, I guess people who are like, it's kind of my stance on a lot of shit. It doesn't matter what the rules are. People who are going to break the rules no matter what. But I don't believe in more mandates out there because I feel like it's been proven time and time again that urine and saliva are more accurate for an immediate threat to things and everything. And let's be honest, there's a fucking workaround on a lot of this shit, no matter what they try and put up there. Again, I just don't believe in any more rules. I don't believe in punishing, because a couple of trucking companies have it. Now they want everybody to do it because you decided to make that change. Like that's the fucking thing in business, you guys. Like you have the right to choose to operate in the way that you want. But just because you might have fucked up and you realize that now, why are you going after other companies to try and fuck them over as well? This is just the repercussions of you operating in that capacity. That's what it is. You got to live with your decisions in business, you guys. It's not easy. All right. I don't believe in changing this, though. I think urine and saliva is adequate. I don't believe in putting hair on there because then fuck, what's next? What are they going to come up with next when it comes down to it? So again, good article. FreightWaves put good information in this one for sure. And it's hair drug testing guidelines sent to the White House. Let me see here. Let me see. Caleb Countryman says, what's your typical response to the we're not onboarding carriers at this time? I have a hard way to keep this conversation going. I think, Caleb, for me personally, if somebody hits me with that, which I get hit with often, it's how do I stay present inside of their network without being annoying? Fatal error is replying with, well, hey, I can send you my setup packet right now. So when you are, we're good to go. Don't do that shit. They're telling you they don't need you, but how can you add value to them in the meantime without being annoying, right? Because if they don't need you, they don't need you. That's fine. That's good. But how do you prepare to set yourself up for when they do? Again, what value can you add to them without getting anything in return? That's how you have to look at this, man, from that perspective. How can you add value to your prospects? I think, how do you add value to your prospects operation without, by staying in their good graces, but by adding value? That's what I would do, man. Let me see here. Sante, I mean that. I appreciate that. He says, meaning I'm the shit. That's right. Fuck yeah, Sante. You're my new favorite fucking person, dude. I love it. Nikolai, good morning. He's watching over on YouTube. LinkedIn user says, Tony D, I get that email too. I have a question. I'm literally dead broke. I barely have enough money to pay for my next month's bills. I have a trucking background and I feel as that, dude, fucking work another job. Like I find another job, dude. That's all I can say. Like there's literally money to be made everywhere. When I went into business for myself, man, I had to take on a part-time job delivering pizzas to make sure my bills were paid. It's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term reward, bro. That's the best advice I can give. I find another job, get a third job if you need to. That's all I can say in that one, man, is get out there and find something else. But that is going to be it for today, you guys. The next 3 days, I have guests. and we're going to fuck people up with some truth. All right. Tomorrow, I'm going to have my good friend on, and we're going to talk about recruiting. We're going to talk about the current job market, how to stand out right now, and really the reality of what you're going to be up against if you're out there searching for something else. And then, yeah, we're going to have other guests on later this week, but that's it for today. You guys, the Freight Coach Morning Show, we are the top morning show in transportation. Fuck, we're the top podcast in transportation at the end of the day. When it boils down to it, you guys will be back tomorrow. And as always, if you guys saw value in this, subscribe and share the show. Rank the show out there on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're watching it, and help get the message out there, you guys, because if you guys see value, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.